You feel busy, you feel stressed. There is just not enough time in the day, it seems. Based on what I just said, what I'm about to share with you isn't going to seem logical on the surface, but I promise there is a lot of science and I will share that with you. And at the end, hang with me because I'm going to share with you some practical application of this. What is one of the most transformative habits you can have for your productivity and for your brain? In essence, to give you more time in your day. Exercise, physical activity, move. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Sheri Traxler with ViREO Life, author of Go Forward, 28 Days to Eat, Move, and Enjoy Life God's Way. Have you ever been sitting at a computer thinking you're working, looking like you're working, but you're just sluggish, brain fog, not happening, but on the other hand, you feel guilty if you even think about getting up and doing something other than sitting there working? It's almost like we have this badge of honor for the number of hours we have in the seat. Well, I've got some science that is going to bust that false guilt for you. Before that, I want to make sure to remind you, if you have not already gotten my free guide, How to Overcome the Shame and Guilt of Diets and Get Fit the Sane Way, which is some of what we're talking about today, I encourage you, go to my website, the ViREO Life, and download that free guide. Let's dive into the science because you need to know why you're doing something before you do it. Yes or yes? A study of almost 700 workers in the Journal of Occupational Environmental Medicine, that's a mouthful, increased their quality and quantity of work by increasing fitness and exercise. Also in that same study, interactions with coworkers improved with exercise, and we know how inter-office drama can waste a lot of time, and exercise helps with that. Second study from the University of British Columbia found that exercise increased learning and increased memory. So if you're ever at a conference, be sure during those breaks, take a walk. A study from Bristol University found a 21% increase in concentration and a 22% increase in ability to meet deadlines. So even though time was spent exercising versus at the desk grinding away, there was actually a greater ability to meet deadlines. Head to your local bookstore or your local library where I just was and check out the book 8 Steps to High Performance by Mark Efron. In that book, he shows a ton of research related to high performance, and amazingly, one of those steps, one of those habits is taking care of your physical health. The two most important factors with that, sleep and exercise. That is a habit that increases your work performance. So what are some of the physiological changes that happen when you exercise? One, stress hormones decrease. And the stress hormones have a huge effect on your productivity. They decrease your ability to think, they decrease your ability to learn, they make the brain less effective. You know, it's hard to be creative when you are feeling stressed and anxious on something. We experience that, but there's actually chemical behind it. Intense exercise increases chemicals in the brain that speed up your learning. The brain chemicals that increase your motivation, those increase with exercise as well. Your feel-good hormones, those increase, so your energy is going to increase. Another benefit with the exercise that is psychological more than physiological, though it does have physiological background, is your confidence, your self-esteem, and your ability to be social and interact improves with exercise. And last, you can use your playtime, your exercise time, to train your brain to focus, to concentrate, to not get distracted, which of course means when you're exercising, at least some of the time, not having devices on, but engaging in play where you're learning something. In the last video, I talked about going to learn to kayak, play tennis, things like that. Those types of activities will increase your ability to concentrate and focus. That's going to be one of the tips I get into in a moment. So I'm not going to jump ahead of myself. We've got 9 ways that you can increase your activity during the day to boost your productivity. But before we go there, what so far has resonated with you? What so far you're going, yeah, that's a good motivation for me. That's a good reason for me. And maybe if I use that as my reason, I won't feel quite so guilty for getting up from the computer, taking a break from work, and going to exercise in some way. So if that has been something resonated so far, put that in the comments and let me know. Let's dive into the tips. First tip, you all have heard me talk about this before. It's one of the principles that I just rely on with clients. Some is always better than none. It's easy in our work to become perfectionistic, but it's also easy in our exercise that if we say, oh, well, if I can't go at this, this study says I should do this intensity, and if I can't do that intensity, forget it, it's not worth it. Not true. Oh, if I can only exercise for this amount of time, it's not really worth it. Not true. Some is always better than none. And there's 100 reasons for that for another video, but just know that some is always better than none. Second, move first thing in the morning. Make sure that you're getting up and stretching, avoiding the rain if you just heard that thunder. Of course, if you like running in the rain, go run in the rain. That's a really good way to wake up. Just don't get hit by lightning. Or do jumping jacks in the house if you don't want to get outside. Whatever you need to do to get moving in the morning and getting that blood flow. That's your second tip. Third, take a break at lunch. Go outside, get some sunshine, walk for 10 minutes. If you are working near a gym, go to the gym. That's a great time to get your strength training in because you're not going to sweat as much. And you don't have to take a shower after that like you might after cardio. I was just teaching a workshop to a group of executives, and there was a man and woman that work at the same company, and they carve out their lunchtime that they go to a nearby gym, and that is their time to take a break. It mentally separates their morning and their afternoon. They're able to come back recharged mentally because of the mental break, but also because with this exercise, they have gotten more blood flow to their brain. They have released all of these endorphins. They have decreased their stress hormones. They've done the chemical work in the brain that we talked about earlier. In the afternoon, go to a park. Have a relaxing walk. Your stress hormones have built up some in your body by that time. It's a great time to do something brisk walking, something gentle, nothing that's going to rev up your adrenal glands that much, and get that cortisol out of your system at the end of the day. If you have a meeting that you have a pretty good feeling it's going to go over an hour, if you're the one coordinating the meeting, you can build this in. If you aren't, then talk to whoever is facilitating the meeting and say, hey, when we get about 50 minutes or an hour, how about we take a walk break, recharge the brain, bring all that blood flow up to the brain, reset the chemicals in the brain. Speaking of about the 50-minute mark, that is another strategy is when you're in your space of doing some deep focused work, make sure use a technique. Some people call it Pomodoro. It's different times that blocks that you can use. But one of the things the research has found is 50 minutes of focused work and then 17-minute break. And when I heard that, I thought, well, how perfect is that? Because 17 minutes, that's a brisk walk for a mile. That is perfect. So work for 50 minutes, go walk a mile. Work for 50 minutes, go walk a mile. See how often you can work that into your work day, into your work week. Seventh tip, this one is a little tricky because intensity, people ask, well, how hard should I be working out, Sheri? Well, in the mornings, your adrenaline is lower. You can handle a little higher intensity. Also, that helps to wake you up and get all that good brain chemistry going. But because intensity does increase your cortisol levels and your adrenaline, if you're already feeling nervous, if you're already feeling stressed out about something, that may not be the time to do something that's really high intensity. It may just exacerbate the issue. The big thing with this is, like all, listen to your body, listen to your brain, experiment a little bit and see what works best for you. But just because one piece of research says go high intensity doesn't mean that's always best in every situation for every person. Regardless, you never want to push to fatigue and failure when you are exercising for the purpose of productivity, because you're exhausted at that point. You just want to take a nap. So even if you do the high intensity, it's not going to be a long high intensity workout because you want to have energy left for your productivity. What about activities to train the brain to focus? So you're decreasing stress, you're doing all this good brain chemistry stuff, but you're also training yourself to focus. That's going to be your dance lessons, your tennis lessons, kayaking, anything that requires some swimming, things that require some type of skill, but not so much that it is extra work for you. Like for me, the times I have tried to learn to golf, it's work to me. It's not play. But other things like dancing or kayaking, those are activities that use just enough focus that I'm training my brain to not be distracted while I'm moving, but it's not additional work for me. So the good news, you decided that you were going to start doing some walking at lunch. But the bad news, you look out and oops, it's raining, and you would really get your dress clothes drenched if you were walking in this right now. So what are some other options? And last, number 9, when it's raining and you cannot get outside for that 10-minute break at lunch or the little walk before an important meeting, stairs. Always makes me think of, when I say stairs, makes me think of one of two movies, either Kung Fu Panda, when Panda looks at stairs and talks about his nemesis, or Riley in National Treasure when he looks at stairs and he's got tears in his eyes. So if you've watched those movies, you know what I'm talking about. But stairs is one, and always my favorite, stretching in the copy room. Let me know what you're going to try. Are you going to try the morning exercise? Are you going to try a quick lunch break? Are you going to do something at the park at the afternoon with friends and family, or by yourself to decompress? Let me know. Put it in the comments. If this has been helpful, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and remember, until next time, find your path and fulfill your potential.